So, g'day everybody. I'm back again. Yesterday was I think it was the first day, maybe. Oh, when we were travelling, maybe when we were travelling, I missed a day. But anyway, we only ever guaranteed to do one day a week. In the beginning, the original planning was to do a tracker update every Friday, or guarantee a tracker update every Friday, and then we'll see what happens for the rest of the time, because sometimes there's lots to talk about, other times there isn't. Anyway, as it turns out, when I'm working, I just stop and do the tracker and then carry on or whatever. So it's always good fun. And yesterday, though, I had the day off sort of thing. I was involved with some other stuff and knew I wouldn't be back in time for the local tracker update. So I passed up on that. But for now, here we are again. And thanks, Warren. So we're back, and we'll just see how it goes. I should be here for a while yet, so you never know. Anyway, they're making great progress, and the hydrovane ruling sort of got some people talking and stuff, but everyone sort of understood it in bits and pieces. We'll talk a bit about that at the end of this, when once we've looked at all the boats and see where it's going, and see if there's any questions, see who pops up. So I'm going to go straight to the tracker now. I put the tracker on for you. There it is there. Okay, so you've got the tracker and you should be listening to me. Now I'm on it as well, and they're getting really close, not very far away at all. And in fact, Renaud, who is actually still leading the fleet, depending on where he goes, I reckon he'll go for the bottom end of the island, but we'll just run it to there for now. He's only 613 miles away, so they're going to be ahead of my earlier projection when I said they'd be in sort of 29, 30 end of the month. At that rate, that's less than 5 days, so that's going to be 28 maybe. Let's wait and see. They've got a bit of a light spot there. You can see the breeze there is a bit light on. But nonetheless, we are expecting, from what we saw the other day, for that to fill in a bit and keep providing pretty solid winds, maybe until the last couple of 100 miles, something like that. Anyway, there it is. Fantastic to look at how far they've come and where they've been. It's been 4 weeks, so that's is it 4 weeks? Yeah, I think it's coming up to 4 weeks. So 28 days. In today's Tuesday, yeah. So it's 4 weeks today. So they've been at sea for 28 days, and they've really nailed this lot so far. All of them have, except for Popeye and Boys, but that's another story. So if we just pick mid-fleet, say about there, and we go back to about there somewhere. So 28 days, 2,862. They've still managed to maintain the magic 100-mile day. And that's what we use as a baseline for all of the passage planning all the way through to the end of the race. We, as you probably may remember, we actually brought the start of the MGR on this leg forward by nearly 2 weeks from original planning, because this is renowned for going slow, this leg, and I thought we better allow for it. But 28 days plus another 5 days, that's only 33 days. That's not bad. Is that about right? Is that right? 28 days, yeah. Cheapest. Hang on. So that's three. So this is only. This is going to be from there. It's 3,800. Yeah, I think we said about 4,200 or something. But that's rumline distance. Rumline distance, and they would have done a few ups and downs. So it's actually they've been moving really well. So that's the good news. No, not too much pain. I'll put it to you like that. It's been a pretty fast trip again. So all is good. Let's go back here and look at Popeye and Co. to start with. They sent us some updates, which was kind of a bit of fun. They're sailing side by side again. And last night, I think it was, when I checked, they were only like a mile apart. Now they're 4 miles apart, maybe 3.5, 4 miles. So you'd see a little white dip on the horizon, and they'd be on VHF together. So that's pretty cool. Timing is right. Popeye doing 5 knots and 84-mile day. That's okay because it's light winds. Fortunately, now you can see here the wind has changed. They're reaching now, wind on the port beam. So that's kind of nice. They only got that light headwinds for a little while, and it's moved across. So John's not going so fast as his old man, 3.9 and 81-mile days. So they're on a par, which is very good. They'll be enjoying the ride. Plenty of sunshine apparently. And let's just see what the weather's likely to do. It looks pretty light down there. So we'll hit that and just scroll it through for a couple of days. Yep, getting very light, but still coming from a good direction, all things considered where they are. They're up, about to follow the track. Geez, check all this stuff out here. That's amazing. That's when they had all the currents. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But certainly the next day, there's not a lot of wind there. There's nothing really to drive. It's going to drop back 5 to 10 knots. So it's not going to be a fast for the next 24 hours. They're going to slow down a bit. And it looks like, the second day is still the same. So not a lot of breeze, but when it comes back, if we go through to the third day, at least it's from the right direction. That's a couple of days of really light weather there. Yeah, so I'm going to go right back now and then just juggle the currents because this is where the previous guys, when they went through, it was a real problem. Okay, so the current's not pushing them along this way, but remember when the fleet was here and they were turning around and going backwards, the current was going, some of it was going northeast and all that. These guys, when they come through, they've just got it pushing on the beam, pushing it a little bit up towards the Marquesas and so on. Now look at this big current they just missed out on behind them. But generally, it's a completely different current picture than what you may remember. I remember it well. They were all over the place at that stage. So anyway, so light winds for the next couple of days and some crazy currents, but not from the wrong direction, just pushing them a little bit to the northwest. So that's okay. And coming back down here again now, we've got Gary bringing up the rear, 3.8 knots and 101 nautical miles. I was just going through, I tried to get some info. I checked out everyone's social media pages. Gary doesn't post much at all on Facebook. I don't think he's doing Instagram. Josh is really quite on at the moment. That's why he didn't pop up in Graham's report, because he didn't make the phone call this week. He's coming up next week, I think it is. And Jasmine's working hard. She had a great session there, question and answer live. And I enjoyed listening to her anyway. It was quite fun. So for now, I better get back to business here without talking about everyone there. So Gary, 3.8 knots, 101. We got that. Josh, 116. So Josh is moving forward. 4.6. So that's okay. And Jasmine doing 5.2, 127. That's fine. You can see there's quite a nice breeze in the middle here, pushing them through. So that's okay. I can probably push that up a little bit now to make it a little bit easier to see. Adam, 124 compared to Jasmine's 127. So pretty much holding their own. Jacob, 132. He's still on a boil there. Jeepers. He's, I mentioned it the other day. He's got an obsession. It's called speed, and he's going for it. So long may it last. 5.3, 132. And then we've got Ayrton here, 5.1 and 119. So he's catching up to Ayrton now in great leaps and strides. Christian, 5.1 and 124. 124. Ayrton was 119, so it's pretty similar. But let's wait and see. Eric, going to push him up a bit. Eric, 5.1, 125. They're all moving pretty much together. 5.6 and 138. So Dan's on a roll. Maybe they got faster breeze up here, or he's just working harder. But he's pushed forward of the pack a little bit. And if he gets up here somewhere, so that there's a bigger gap between him and the others here, we could officially say he's in the lead group. But he's not quite in the lead group yet, but he's getting very close. So I won't declare him as part of the lead group. I'll just tell him that, well, actually, it's a bit hard to say, eh? He's looking very close, but I'll leave it for another day or two. I'd call him the leader of the middle pack, if that makes sense. And Josh is the leader of the rear pack. Okay. So, but yeah, he's just about up there. He's just about cracked that magic sort of lead pack situation. So Peeler, 5.6, 129 nautical miles against Dan's 138. So you can see what happens there. Kerry, 5.3 and 120. They're still not quite have been lagging behind. Slowly been losing ground to Dan and Renaud. So Dan, 5.6, 126. So okay, he's only got 6 miles on Kerry in the last 24 hours. So he's doing okay. But then I can see a distinct band here. So Renaud's been, backing it and trying to keep up with everything. Probably with less wind. It's showing less wind than the rest of the fleet. So he's managing now 5.3 knots, 125. So Dan has taken 1 mile out of him, and Kerry's only done no miles out of him, and Peeler's actually done a little bit. So Renaud's sitting out of here with less wind, still leading the pack, obviously sailing really well. So that's all kind of cool. Now let's just see what's happening with the currents here. So Renaud absolutely not getting any benefit from any currents. Dan, pretty much the same, nothing. Peeler, slight little bit. Kerry, slight little bit. Dan, slight little bit more. Maybe if it was half a knot, it's 12 miles. So, whether it's half a knot or not, we'll have to speculate on that. Eric's not getting much. These guys up here are getting a boost. They're absolutely getting a boost as it goes. So while we're there, let's just see. I can't imagine. I'm just going to push the currents on a couple of days. Nothing much happening there at all. It's the 24th, so it's 2 days in. Little bit of a push there in the middle here. The other guys will be coming across the back here. So nothing that's what I call stunning. Nothing there that's stunning. So back to the wind. Excuse me. We've seen all that. Let's talk about. Let's just try and just confirm some ETAs here. Well, not confirm, but just give people an idea what's going on. So we'll look at Dan, and I'll try and give you an ETA for Dan going through. We did a rough one on Renaud just there, but Dan's got 948, so that's probably a little bit less than a week. So it's Tuesday. So he's been out 4 weeks. It'll be 5 weeks. It's 35 days. That's not bad. So I reckon we'll see Dan in about a week, something like that. Yeah. So let's now. So that gives you an idea there. Yeah. So if that's a week, the other guys behind him will be the middle of the fleet there. Another 190. So it's about a day and a half after. So that's let's just go here because there's a big pack. People be wondering about that. So they've all got 1,200 miles to go. 7, 8, 9. That's 9 days. So 9, 10, 30. They'll be there by the end of the month. So that's pretty good. So if that's the case, that's probably 7, 8, 9. And Renaud, we said, was only 5 days. I think it was. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 4 days. So they'll see each other anyway. Jasmine, that was one of her things. She wants to get in because she wants to see everyone. So Renaud would have been kicking back for 4 days. And then we may see Jasmine come in 4 or 5 days after. And they're there for 8 days. So they'll have a few days together. So that's kind of fun. They'll all be able to natter, provided they're all going to the same place, and that's still up for conjecture. They're not required to tell us where they're going. They certainly will have, their managers will have told Tahiti Crew, the agents that's coordinating their arrival and paperwork procedures and so on. That's got to be done beforehand. So they will have made their decisions by now, exactly where they're going to go. To give you an idea, just again to those that didn't see it, there are 3 ports of entry. One is in here, Nukuhiva. No one. The other one is here. I forget the name of that one, and I believe there's one down here as well. So, and this is probably going to be the closest to come in here and then zip straight down. So we'll wait and see. Nukuhiva is where most of the action is. This anchorage in here in this middle island, Muruna or whatever, is supposed to be absolutely stunning. So We'll all be waiting with bated breath on that to see how it goes. Right, so come back and then we'll run the weather forward 2 days, see what they're likely to get. Here we go. I don't think we've run the weather. Nope. So I'll just come back here and we'll push this. Oops, gotta click that. Okay, so what's going on? So here we go. A little bit more, yeah. If we go there, okay, so this is coming up to 24 hours. So you can see the breeze, as we saw a couple of days ago, starts to fill in from the east, heading to the west. So that's pushing the whole fleet along. They're all running along the right bits there. There we go through, coming into the second day. There's a good breeze there, just nice and moderate, nice and gentle. It'll be very nice sailing. They'll be enjoying this. They'll be enjoying that a lot. So, yeah, it just reminds me of a couple of things. Some of the entrants aren't calculating and tabulating their celestial observations. I think I'll send them a message because they say it's too rough. I think I'll be saying they need to do it on board now. I don't want to wait until they get ashore and get to talk to everyone and all that sort of stuff. So let's have a look at the waves here. Oh, yes, it's a bit of a sea running there. That's interesting. So, and let's just see if that's there at the moment. No, it's not. This is about a 2 metre, 2.5 metre, heading to 3 swells. But as it goes into the pink, it goes 3 to 4, 4 and a bit maybe. So the sea's going to be building in the next couple of days with that increase in the breeze. So it'll be reasonably fast. That's good to see. That's about all I need to show you here, I believe. I can't think of anything. We can always come back, so I'm going to come back now and see if there's anyone there that wants to know any questions and stuff. So all is good. So yeah, so the wrap up from the decision on the removing the link for the hydrovane was quite interesting. I think most people got it. There was quite a few sailors had their share say in the comments under the post that I put up. And I tried to answer them all and just let them realise there's no change in the rule. It's a rule interpretation. And what happens is there is a set of rules, and the entrants will take it to the nth degree. And it wasn't a case of squeaking the rules to try and make the most of what's going on. It was an event that happened, and oh, why don't we put a link there? And it goes and goes, and then all of a sudden everyone's sailing with it, or not everyone, but a few of them sailing with the link. And then we think, hang on a minute. That's actually quite interesting. It's a bit of an advantage, and then you start to analyse it all, and you realise it's two rudders, and say, "Hang on a minute, we can't have 2 rudders." So that's how it evolves. And so, having investigated that, we come up with the interpretation to say, no, that system like that is 2 rudders. So we haven't changed the rules. We've just adjudicated on an issue with the rules, and it's something that the entrants just get into a situation. They're not trying to cheat. They're not trying to do anything like that, but it needs an adjudication. And so we watched that carefully. We spoke to some of the entrants, and it was very clear that was the feeling as well for those with and without. In other words, those with hydrovanes that I spoke to were saying, yes, no question, it's a fantastic advantage. And those without hydrovanes that we spoke to were also of the opinion as shit. The only way I really should be buying a hydrovane, but I haven't got the budget for the hydrovane, and so there's no question. Everyone conceded the fact, and it was kind of ironic that when Jasmine on her Q&A, as soon as she came up, one of the first questions she got was, "Oh, how do you feel about the link?" She said, "Oh, well, I was going to do it because it's really obvious how much it can give you as a bit of a boost." And now she's glad she didn't, because we made this ruling on how that's interpreted. So it's quite interesting. And then sadly, not sadly, but some of those making comments in to the ruling in the Facebook post weren't aware of some of the rulings previously about the hydrovane on the boat. And then the whole issue of safety comes up, and it's got nothing to do with safety, because the safety of a boat is governed and controlled by the skipper. If you believe that you can't control the boat because it's in a storm or something like that, say, well, guess what? Maybe get rid of some sail area, maybe balance the boat better, all this sort of stuff. So, the boat, the concept of the 580 is really well defined, and it's not meant to be the fastest 580 in the world. It is a safe, wholesome boat designed with really solid, sensible principles, and it has some what I call fuses in there. Right, and in the case of electrical energy, we say, right, maximum 200 watt solar panels. In case of battery capacity, we say maximum 200 amp hours of battery. Now, if we didn't restrict those, we would have people that have got solar panels everywhere to generate as much power as possible, and then probably have 400 amp hours of battery to get all the electrical energy, so they can do all this other stuff. And we kill all that just by creating a restriction. One of the issues with the rudder, when it was discussed in the early days, was that, yes, we could have a bigger rudder. And yes, that could allow you to carry more sail area and go more faster and all this sort of stuff. Now, I've seen this in motorsport. I used to do tarmac car rally racing and so on. And in fact, I tried to get a One Design car as a group into some tarmac rallying, because you just cut the crap. You just get rid of it all and you're all in the same car. So you have a lot of fun in the same little car. So with this, we don't manage the 580 like Olympic standards One Design class, but the design and the concept of the boat is to have a safe, strong, fun boat to sail that is super seaworthy and super capable in all ocean conditions, right, as best you can for a boat of that size and so on. But you can't push it. If you push it too far, the boat goes out of control. You can look at any boat and say, see that boat there? Beautiful boat, beautiful rudder. It's easy to get it out of control. Just push it too hard. So you've got to sail the boat to the design parameters that you're given and be sensible about it. And that's the whole idea of it, because remembering they're designed to go around the world, and it's a long way around the world, so you can't push too much, too hard, too often. Now, I'm not saying that to referring to any of the leaders as if they're pushing the boat too hard, because I know they're not. Like Renaud, for instance, is a very sensible sailor. He's very experienced, and there's no way he's going to push the boat too hard, because he knows how far it's got to go, and he's ticking back and just relaxing, really, things like that. So, but it's not the fastest 580. Yes, we could have a bigger rudder, but we don't want a bigger rudder. That's like you've got to sail the boat to the way it is, and it keeps it all sensible. And when you look at the mid-fleet there, some of the mid-fleet are not even really racing, and I don't think Burton would mind if I said to all of you listening, we've got 3,000 people there on the live at the moment. That's good. That he's kicking back and enjoying the ride. He's not going slow, but he's not stressed about trying to push too hard. He's enjoying his time on board the boat. He's sailing around the world, all that sort of stuff. If you look at Pila wants to go a bit faster. She's a racing sailor, and she's focused in a different direction. So each sailor is there for a different reason. They've all got similar sort of boats. Some of, it was interesting going about some of the comments about the weights of the boat. Do sailors take a penalty, if they're lighter and all this sort of stuff? Well, that's not the case either. You look at Kerry; he's got no mattress, no pillows. He takes all his clothes off the boat and his shoes and everything, and gets rid of them because he doesn't want to carry them all across the ocean. He'll buy some more when he gets to the other port or something to save weight. Okay. Whereas you look at Jacob, that's his home, right? He's got a proper library there with actual real books, some of them hardcover books, and he's got his hunting bow there, and he's got all his, a lot more fishing gear than you use for thing, and he's got all these other toys and things. That's his home. He lives on board, not when he doesn't just live on board when doing the race. So he's a lot heavier, but maybe he's been throwing things over the side to go fast now. But no, he's not, because he's not allowed to, and he wouldn't anyway. But I'm just saying, there's so many different factors here, and our role as the organiser and the manager of the notice of race, and I've explained this to the entrants right from the word go, that we've got to police it, we've got to manage it. And we get the constant cry from some of the spectators and some of the sailors that watch our events. As soon as we make an interpretation, it's another rule change, it's a bunch of wankers, bloody blah, 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 whatever. It's not a rule change, it's an interpretation. and those situations evolve. And another example, we'll be looking at spinnaker poles when they get to Fiji, because um, we say in the notice of race that spinnaker poles, you've got to have two. That's the only definition we have of spinnaker poles, because we're not really a crack organisation, but technically a spinnaker pole has a definition, and the spinnaker pole is meant to go from the leading edge of the mast when you clip it into the stem head fitting. It's a J measurement. And it's been brought up that maybe some boats haven't got the right length poles and this, that, and the other. So again, we will look at that closely, but we haven't measured all the poles in the past because it was pretty straightforward. But once it becomes an issue, we'll measure the poles, and if they're too long, they've got to chop them up, chop it off, take the fitting off, chop the pole, put the fitting back on, and get them shorter. So some of that evolves. And another interesting point there that I brought up with one comment was that it took us a while to get onto that. We should have been done right from day one. Well, we've got a small team, 2 people run this race, and we're involved with a lot of different subjects, and our budgets are not big, so we have to do other work as well, and some things take a while to get your head around it because we are involved with all these other things. So I was first, and I mentioned this before, I was alerted to it in Panama when we were driving behind a boat, and I looked at 2 rudders and thought, "Sheesh, that's interesting." And then we discussed it a little bit in Panama, but I didn't want to create waves then, and we got too busy with other bits. But it was clear that it could become an issue, and that's why we decided to analyse it very closely, talk to the other entrants, and see what they're all thinking, and so on. And there we go. That's how it happened. Anyway, enough of that. So that will sound a little bit like going on and on and on. So let's see if anyone's got any questions. But anyway, it's an interesting read if you read the comments post on the hydroplane link banning. So that's cool. Warren, loud, clear, cool. Thanks, mate. Adrian, they keep them coming. They are, yeah. Could they check in at the Southern Island, move north, then back and leave again from the South Island to save distance and time 8 days later? Basically, there's 3 entry ports, and it's up to them what they want to do and how they do it, but they've got to enter in one of the entry ports, and they've got to leave from another entry port. If they wanted to go to one end of the group and enter in there, and they'd probably have to get a cruising permit or something, so they've entered into the country with immigration and customs, they could sail down to the southern one or any of the others to have a look, and when they leave, they've got to leave from another departure port. And so their time finishes when they get to their final anchorage as they're going to go ashore to clear customs and immigration. So once they drop the pick on that one, that's it. They're 8 days. Have a longer stay there, they can, but the clock starts on them on that 8 days, and they self-regulate on that. They've got to take a photo of their GPS chart plotter once they're anchored, and then they've got to take a photo of their GPS chart plotter again when they leave once they're underway, so we can see what's going on. Okay, what's the cost for Mike? What is the cost from building to running a campaign? Just a ballpark figure would be interesting. Wow, that's a tough one. The cost of the boat. There's a couple of really good blogs. We've talked about it before. It's up on the Builders Group, I think. And I forget now. I had it in my head which was the best one. I mentioned it, but anyway, it's on the Builders blog. A lot of information, but generally, what I say now, and what most people agree, you need 35 grand to build your boat, and you need at least another 15 grand to get all your stuff to be ready to race a transatlantic or an MGR. That doesn't include a trailer. A trailer would be worth 4 or 5 grand if you didn't get a second-hand one or something, or modify one. And then you're pretty much set. You've got to do your entry fees and stuff like that. And entry fees are going up. I'm warning everyone. I'm working on it here. People will be shocked and they'll all complain and say, "What the hell?" Because the entry fee at the moment for the MGR is about 3,000. I forget now, 3,400. The entry fee for the MGR in 2029 is going to be close. There'll be 2 prices I should do this officially. I'm forgetting bits. There will be an owner builder price, okay, and the owner builder price is around about €9,000. Okay, don't hold me to it because it may change yet, but the entry fee will be €9,000, and a buyer price. If you bought your 580 and come in, it'll be at least 12, maybe a little bit more, €12,000. And people say, what? 4 times the price? You kidding me? No, we're not. If you want to row across the Atlantic for a couple of months, it'll cost you €15,000. Okay, your entry fee. That's a cheap one. And we got to get cost recovery. We've got to start getting cost recovery on the events because it's very expensive. We're spending a considerable amount to run the MGR. A lot of time, effort, money, lots of things going on there. And so that's the reality. Why do we charge extra for a buyer entry, someone that's bought their 580? It's quite simple, really, because we don't charge extra. That's the real entry fee. And it's just that we subsidise someone who's gone to the effort to build their boat and go, just to cut a little bit of the price there. And why was it so cheap now? Well, it was really nothing. $3,500 to sail around the world for 13 months, plus all the extra time, months of time before that, dealing with the entrance and all the functions we do, and just about doesn't it just a lot of parties, bits and pieces. It's really a very extremely low entry fee, so not the norm, but we did that on purpose to subsidise and support the 580 class, to get it going and so on, and it gets more interesting as it goes forward. So that's the entry fee. How much do you spend going around? You're probably going to spend, I'll just have a couple of stabs at this, forgetting about food, because you can work out your own food budget, but things like berthing and marina costs and hotels, because a lot of the entrants are going into hotels occasionally, all that sort of stuff. You're probably going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should be able to get around for $7 or $8 maybe, because you're not spending money when you're here. And maybe $10 because you've still got to do all the clearing into ports and stuff, and each of the ports is going to cost money. So I'd say €10, €10,000 maybe, something like that. Maybe more, maybe $12 for your bits, and then you got your food on top of that. So it all adds up. But you're away for 13 months, 14 months. It's pretty interesting. So that's a long question. I don't know how we got distracted again, but I mentioned entry fees once before, and the pre-notice of race and entry fees. We're hoping to get them out in about 2 months. Once we get about a year and get settled in Fiji, I'll finish all that and make the final decisions. So I hope that answers your question, Mike. Christine, Mike, 100 miles a day and a book a day is great. Yeah, that makes sense. The 2 rudder discussion is interesting. Isn't there a downside to wetted surface? No, it's nothing. Jeepers. Some of the guys haven't even looked at their bottom for barnacles yet, and we're not worried about wetted surface area over those sort of things, Again, it all comes down to the concept of the boat, and I can't stress this enough. She's a classic. The 580 is a beauty. When you stand alongside one and you look at it and think, holy dooly, it exudes strength and purpose and a tough little nut, and you feel when you're sailing it, when you're on board, it's super safe. It's just solid little boat. And you're all in the same boat. So we never got into those sorts of issues about what we do about speed and this, that, and the other. You're not even allowed to, you're not allowed to fare the keel of the boat. The nuts, the keel bolts, which are just hex head keel bolts, I think we allow fairing around the keel bolts to 2.5 centimetres around the edges. That's all. So you can just round them off a little bit with a bit of filler. And you're not supposed to. You can have an absolute minimum fairing fillet along the worlds and things like that. Everyone's in the same boat. Doesn't matter. So the priority for rudders was all about behind the keel. Keep the engineering simple. You've seen everything that's on the back of the transom. You imagine doing that with twin rudders. if you want to put twin rudders on there, like proper twin rudders from the boat, forget about your wind vane. Where are you going to fit your wind vane? Where are you going to fit your ladder, like your permanent ladder? Where are you going to put your outboard? All this sort of stuff. It's really, everything's been thought out really carefully. And that's another reason we want the transom. People say, oh, you should have an open transom. Where do you put all your shit? That's the easiest way to explain that lot. And it's a little boat. And so there's lots of reasons for the transom, but a lot of people are horrified about the transom. Oh, it's a dog box, a shoe box, oh, it's so ugly, blah, blah, blah. But everything has its purpose. And I really like the 580, and there's lots of things that even the people that say, oh, I really like the 580, they may not understand that part of the reason they like it. It's because of the way it's set up. And so we're not worried about a little bit of loss of speed because everyone's in the same boat. So, and twin rudders was too complicated engineering wise, as I said, too much clutter, and both rudders are then exposed on the side. You hit a log coming out of Panama, you're going to wipe out your bloody rudders, behind the keel. It's not so bad. So there you go. Sienna, the live Q&A from the middle of the ocean was just surreal. Yeah, absolutely. Would be great we're great for some others could do the same. We're going to do it here. After this leg in the Marquises from there onwards, because some of the people that even with Starlink, they're not doing a lot of stuff on social media. And so we will be gearing up to actually do live interviews with the entrants from here. We've set a schedule, but I didn't want to do this while they're at sea. We'll set a schedule, and it's a voluntary thing, but anyone wants to come up, I'll do an interview, and you can actually, while we're doing it, I can read your comments on the side, so you can ask the entrant what's going on, and I can ask them live as well at the same time. So the trick to scheduling the times comes down to weather, because obviously if they're bouncing around, they're not going to be able to do it. But we just open a system where anyone that's feeling good about it, the day before, we know the forecast, we'll hopefully link it. But yeah, that's always quite cool. So that was the first one Jasmine's done. Dan has done a couple. Dan's done a couple of live Q&A sessions with his mate. Another mini sailor, or silly sailor. He's a good bloke. Not Dan, he's the guy who talked to Xavier. Cool guy. He likes 580s as well. Anyway, okay, Jonathan, watch the coconut video. Not a great cameraman, but quite a mariner. Yeah, absolutely. Part of that could have been, I forget now, because I saw some of the little bits, but when you're filming horizontal, which sometimes coconut's doing that or whatever it is, and then you cut it for vertical for a reel, it doesn't really work that well either. I'm not sure. Maybe he's filming sideways. I haven't seen all those ones that Jane did before, so she put them together. Okay, so getting too restrictive. Go faster, not slower. It's safer. Oh, come on, jeepers! If you were asking me about the Southern Ocean, you're 100% correct. Right? I'm not a big fan of drogues. I haven't been in the Southern Ocean in the GGR type boats, but I'm just one of the sailors that speed is everything, and I see boats wallowing all the time. Right? And when I see, when a boat's wallowing, right? And I've seen it a lot in the GGR, where for whatever reason, maybe the skipper's tired or whatever it is, blah blah blah, they'll let the boat wallow when you just got to let the boat go. So I know exactly what you're saying. Go faster, not slower. It's safer, absolutely, right? And then your comment, Aaron, thanks for the comment. I'm not bagging you. I'm just trying to give you my genuine answer. Getting too restrictive is not restrictive at all, right? It's a one design class. You can do what you want. But when you go outside the rules inadvertently, because it was a bit of a no-brainer to put that there, but there is no question if you read the ruling and the interpretation, it adds some potential advantages by doing that, and not everyone can afford a hydrovane, and not everyone wants to go with a hydrovane. So it means you're starting to penalise those that go with a servo pendulum system, which is a lot lighter and all this, that, and the other. And a lot cheaper, €1,300 versus €5,000 or something. So there's lots of issues there, but it's not too restrictive. that's the beauty. One of the reasons the boats are all together is one design class. So everyone's got identical sails, right? Ironically, most of them have got similar masts. There's only one Sparcraft mast, and that's Tracker. Sparcraft mast, which cost me nearly double the price of the Selden one, but that's what I wanted on the boat, and I believe it's a very good mast. But that's personal choice and budget again, but yeah, it's not restrictive at all. And if we just threw the rules out the window, no one would be having fun, because it goes against the concept, and you can't. A servo pendulum. Someone was saying, "Oh, a servo pendulum's one rudder, and then you've got the boat rudder. That's two rudders." It's not. A servo pendulum does not steer the boat. The servo pendulum rudder is not a rudder. It's a blade affected by motion in the ocean, and it goes to the surface. It doesn't turn the boat. The blade just goes straight up to the surface. So it's not a second rudder. So lots of ones, but I like the comment. And faster is safer for sure. On the 580, I was very close to putting drogues out once on, not a drogue, a warp, once on Tracker, but that was all. I never quite saw the conditions. Pete, who was there at the same time in the same conditions, he put warps out to slow the boat down, but I just kept it going, even under bare poles. When the wind vane's working, I had a South Atlantic, you got sea room and you're going dead downwind anyway, you just let it go. Boom, it's fantastic. I did bare poles for something like 18 hours at one stage. It was great. So I know what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree with too restrictive. Anyway, but thanks for the comment. Missing your face. Oh, really? Thank you. Okay. Two rudders is brilliant. Please reconsider. No, I no need to reconsider. It doesn't work for the philosophy of the 580. For all those reasons I just mentioned, you don't have to have two rudders. You don't have to have a giant rudder. You've got to have a nice, sensible rudder, and one good, strong one is all you need to go around the world. And that keeps it simple to build, simple to engineering, all that sort of stuff. But yes, twin rudders is fantastic. I agree. If I was looking to build a nice sailboat that was, for club racing or something like that, when you're going to be on your ear and going to windward, blah, 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 two rudders, it performs better. But jeepers, if you take it to the nth degree and you look at the Imokas, and I love the Imokas, how complicated are they? Kick up, twin rudders, this, that, and the other, but they're doing 30 knots. That's what you want. So why start this war? This sort of going speed, put the brakes on, put everyone in the same little plywood boxes and have a lot of fun, and that's exactly what Jacob's doing. It's exactly what Adam's doing. They built their boats. Simple. Away you go. And, you don't want to just keep going faster and faster and faster. Adds to cost, adds to complications. You can't go to sleep that often, You've got to have electric autopilots, and so it goes. Where do you stop? You stop with a 580 and have some fun. How many entrants for the next Transat? None. Simple as that. Short answer, None at all. But there's going to be heaps to enter when the entries become available. When I finish the pre-notice at race, I've got to finish it before I leave here, so I've only got 2 weeks left. So it'll be in the next couple of weeks. It'll be out for sure, and the application will be open. We've restricted the size of the fleet to 20 boats. Everyone will be saying, "Oh, it's not enough." Maybe a few people always said that, but let's wait and see. I'll be happy if we see 10, 15, 12, 13 boats or something for the next Transat. But let's wait and see. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the only reason there's none is because we haven't opened. But there's quite a few people hurrying up with their building, and there's quite a few people. All the boats that have been sold, they've all bought them, and they're all all of those boats that are being bought, if I remember correctly, are all doing the Transat next year, in 26, 25, 26, next year. So that's cool. Thanks, Jane. Hello from Georgia. Jane must have sent you a message or something. So, yeah. Mike, thanks, Don. I really agree that she is a well-designed boat. Seaworthy as hell. Keep it up. Keep it simple. Yeah, cool. yeah, it takes people just takes. I fully understand that it takes people some time to understand why would we do that. Why wouldn't we have two rudders? You've got to just take a breath and think about it. What's really wrong with one rudder? And that's just an example of many of the things about the 580. Where we've had people saying, "God, why'd you do it like that? Wouldn't this be a lot better?" Well, it would if you wanted to do that, but we want to do this. It's called the MGR. So, anyway, thanks for that. I've been waffling on. Jeez, that's 3/4 of an hour. So we should all be here again next tomorrow. Thanks if you can like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Like the Facebook page, subscribe to YouTube, hit the bell that you do when we come up so you know we're here. Keep the questions coming, keep the comments going. It all helps the algorithm because we share a lot of the other posts, and our Facebook algorithm is not healthy at the moment, but it's still cool. And we appreciate everyone following. It's all fun for us, and we are very proud of all our sailors out there and their boats and what they're doing. It's really quite cool. Very cool indeed. Okay, see you later.
Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.